Hello, my name is Miss Samantha, and today we're going to be doing a story time video, and I hope you enjoy it. It's going to be a quick story time. It's called Picky Peggy, and it's about a little girl who maybe is a little picky with her food, and there's some other surprises that I hope you enjoy. So let's get to it. I'm going to share my screen and read the book with you, but I will be right there reading alongside of you. So this is Picky Peggy by Jennifer Dussling, illustrated by Lynn Adams. Are they here yet? Peggy called. Yes, Mr. Cooper said. Come and see. Yay! Peggy yelled and scrambled over the fence. There they were. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. 6 brand new, just hatched baby ducks. They were yellow and fluffy with big eyes and orange beaks and feet. They were on the cutest things Peggy had ever seen. Which one is mine? Peggy asked. You choose, Mr. Cooper said. Peggy looked and looked. Finally, she chose the fluffiest duck of them all. I'm going to call him Fluff, she said. That's a good name for such a fluffy duck, Mr. Cooper told her. Mr. Cooper gave Peggy a bag of duck food that he had made himself. He told her to give Fluffy plenty of water to drink and some other foods like veggies. Keep him warm, Mr. Cooper said, and don't let him swim just yet. Don't worry, Mr. Cooper, said Peggy. I'll take good care of Fluff. Peggy played with Fluff all day long. He liked to shake his wings and waddle across the floor. That always made Peggy laugh. Sometimes they had blue bubbles together. Sometimes they had tea parties. They didn't drink tea, though. They drank water. Peggy gave Fluff some duck food and some breadcrumbs. She had fed breadcrumbs to Mr. Cooper's ducks lots of times. Fluff liked the breadcrumbs. He liked them even better than he liked his duck food. Peggy, it's time for dinner, her mom said. Do I have to eat? Peggy asked. I'm having fun with Fluff. Peggy Elizabeth Sullivan, her mother said. Uh-oh, said Peggy. We'd better go, Fluff. Peggy sat down and looked at her plate. Fish and green beans and mashed potatoes. Eat up, Peggy, her dad said. You're a growing girl. Peggy was a picky eater. In fact, Peggy was proud of how picky she was. Her brother Mark didn't like broccoli. Her sister Valerie didn't like eggs. But Peggy hardly liked anything. She didn't like broccoli or eggs or milk or meat or potatoes or soup. And she hated spinach. She didn't like the way it looked or the way it felt in her mouth or the way it tasted. What? The only thing Peggy really liked for dinner was noodles with butter. Raise your hand if you have a connection to Peggy. If you are picky with your food and you don't like a lot of things, or if you don't like most things and you only like to have one thing for dinner. But see what happens to Peggy. The rest of the family had finished dinner, but Peggy still sat at the table looking at her food. Now and then, Fluff quacked. Peggy could tell he felt bad for her. Finally, her mom gave in. Kind of. Eat some fish and green beans, she said. Then I'll make noodles for you. Peggy took just a mouthful of fish, 3 green beans, but she ate all the noodles. When I have kids, they won't have to eat the stuff they don't like, Peggy told Fluff. She poured some breadcrumbs into her hand for him. You like breadcrumbs best, she went on, so you can have all you want. You don't have to eat the duck food or veggies or anything else. Fluff quacked. Peggy could tell he liked the idea. Peggy played with Fluff every day. She read books to him, she patted his soft feathers, she splashed him with water. Fluff followed Peggy everywhere. He even followed her into the bathroom. A week went by, and Peggy took Fluff to visit his brothers and sisters. They were getting big. They seemed bigger than Fluff, but maybe that didn't matter. Maybe Fluff was just small for his age. Peggy tried to take even better care of Fluff. She petted him and sang to him and gave him plenty of water and breadcrumbs. But Fluff still looked small, and he didn't seem so happy anywhere. Another week went by, and Peggy got a call from Mr. Cooper. "I'm letting the ducks outside for the first time," he told her. "Bring Fluff over." "We'll be right there," said Peggy. As soon as Peggy and Fluff arrived, Mr. Cooper went to the shed. He opened the door. One by one, the ducks came out. They wiggled their feathers, they tilted their heads up to the sunshine, they quacked and waddled around the yard. Fluff stood off to the side. He was quiet and still. That's when Peggy got worried. Fluff didn't look like the other ducks anymore. They had shiny feathers and bright eyes. His feathers were droopy. His eyes didn't sparkle. Fluff didn't look like a ball of fluff anymore. Let's take a pause. Why do you think Fluff doesn't look so big and fluffy like the other ducks? Yeah, maybe. Let's try and see what happens. "Something's wrong with Fluff," Peggy said. "You're right," said Mr. Cooper. He picked up Fluff. He looked at his eyes and his feet and his feathers. "What are you feeding him?" he asked. "Breadcrumbs," Peggy said. "Didn't he like the duck food?" asked Mr. Cooper. "Breadcrumbs are his favorite," Peggy explained. "So that's what I gave him." "Ducks need more than breadcrumbs to be healthy," Mr. Cooper said. "A growing duck should eat other foods too, like spinach and carrots and fruit and cheese." Peggy made a face. "Spinach? Carrots? Yuck!" "Just watch," Mr. Cooper said. He went into the shed and came back with a dish of food. Fluff started eating. He ate and ate. Peggy looked up in the dish. The food was red and orange. It was tomatoes and mashed carrots, and Fluff liked it. Sometimes what a pet likes best is not the best thing for it, Mr. Cooper explained. They're not so different from people. He said Fluff would be better in no time, once he started eating the right things. As soon as Peggy got home, she fed Fluff some of the duck food. He ate it all up. Later on, she gave him some watermelon, cheese, and spinach. Fluff ate all the watermelon and cheese, but he didn't eat the spinach. Peggy smiled. Fluff didn't like spinach either. At dinner that night, Peggy's mom put a plate in front of her: meatloaf, peas, and rice. Peggy thought about what Mr. Cooper had said. She thought about Fluff's droopy feathers. She thought about his dull eyes. She didn't want to look dull and droopy. She picked up her fork and took a bite of the peas. "Mom!" yelled Mark. "Look, Peggy's eating!" "Leave her alone," her mother said. Valerie and Mark watched Peggy eat her meatloaf and her peas and her rice. She drank her milk, too. "Does this mean you'll eat anything?" Valerie asked. "Even fish and broccoli and eggs?" Peggy nodded. She could tell Valerie and Mark were impressed. That made her feel good. In fact, it gave her an idea. She wouldn't be Peggy, the picky eater, anymore. She'd be Peggy, the bold eater. She'd eat all kinds of fancy foods, like fried mushrooms and brown mustard, and the little Chinese corn that comes in salads. Everyone would be so amazed. "Will you even eat spinach?" Mark asked. Peggy thought about it. The limp green leaves, the slimy feel in her mouth, the sour taste. "I'll eat fish and meat and eggs and milk and broccoli and peas, but I can't eat spinach." Fluff quacked. He probably felt the same way. Neither Peggy nor Fluff ever did eat spinach, but every day they had a snack, and they ate it together. Sometimes it was fruit, sometimes it was popcorn, sometimes it was vegetables, and sometimes Peggy and Fluff ate Mr. Cooper's special duck food. Guess what? It was pretty good. The end. So, what did Peggy learn in the end? Yeah, for her to start eating new foods. We eat fruits and veggies to do what? To get healthy and strong and grow big and tall. And so she had to learn to like new foods. So I have a worksheet for you guys. I want you to think of something that you don't like at all, but that might be healthy for you and that you want to try eating new things. Talk to your mom and dad, talk to your brothers and sisters, and see what new foods you can try. I hope you enjoyed our story today, and I can't wait to see you later. Bye.